Meet Crew Podcast. We are the change we desire to see in this world. If you won't change, you have to be the change. We are looking for 3 more hosts to join our team. If you have a message for the world and would like to be a part of the hottest new podcast and media network rocking the podcast world right now, join Crew Podcast and Media Network. Looking for a little exposure? Allow each TIA Enterprises the opportunity to share your brand around the world. We will work with you to develop a package that fits your budget. Contact AEA via email and schedule a consultation. crewpodcast2023@gmail.com. We are the change we desire to see.
Are you tired of the burden of past financial mistakes weighing you down? Look no further than BHG Credit Solutions, the industry leader in credit repair. We understand the challenges you face: charge-offs, late payments, bankruptcy, and those daunting student loans, but don't let them define your financial future. Here at BHG Credit Solutions, we've got your back. Our team of dedicated professionals specializes in turning credit adversity into opportunity. We'll work tirelessly to dispute inaccuracies, negotiate with creditors, and to develop personalized strategies tailored to your unique situation. Our proven track record speaks for itself. Countless satisfied clients have seen their credit scores soar.
Well, I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Crew Podcast, episode 124. I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I tell you, I have a special treat for you on tonight as we celebrate and bring awareness to suicide prevention. This is the month that we bring awareness to suicide prevention. But those that follow me and support the things that I know that I do know that this is something I do 24/7, 365 days, because I am a suicide attempt survivor, and I truly believe that awareness needs to be brought to this subject, because guess what we do? What's done in this house, stay in this house. And it's a stigma in the brown community. But we're going to break that stigma on tonight. We're going to break that stigma where we got to pray about everything and slap a little oil on it. We're breaking all that tonight. I have some amazing guests that are going to be sharing with you guys tonight. I tell you, they walk in different lanes. They operate in different fields, but I'm excited to be able to share them with you on tonight. I'm going to bring them up individually and allow them to introduce themselves. And we're going to start with Miss Russell.
Hey there. Thank you so much, Ms. Angela, for having me on the show. My name is Dantrice Russell. I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of Georgia and Texas, and I'm also a certified professional counselor supervisor, as well as a national board certified therapist. And I also host a podcast called the Self-Aware and Effed Up Podcast, which focuses on taboo topics in mental health. I've been in the helping profession about 18 years. I did a good amount of time of working directly in the hospital setting, where individuals were coming into the hospital actually after experiencing suicide attempts, and in assessing them and ensuring that they got to the appropriate place. And for the last 7 years, I've actually been working for a national crisis line where we take incoming calls from our veteran and military callers, as well as just callers, civilian callers who are experiencing suicidal ideation and need additional support. And so I've been in the field for quite some time. And I've also had personal struggles around suicidal thoughts and things of that. So I'm definitely looking forward to just, engaging in dialogue with you guys tonight and really just being able to bring awareness, because we don't talk about it enough within our community. And I really, really love what you are doing with this. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you and welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to bring up Miss Dominique.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dominique Carson. I am a freelance journalist, an author, a speaker, but most importantly, I am a licensed massage practitioner. I've been a massage practitioner for 4 years. I completed my education in New York City. That's where I'm from, and that's where I completed my previous education as well. The reason why I decided to be a part of this program, this podcast tonight, because it kind of hits home. I lost one of my dear classmates to suicide in 2010. He was 19. He just graduated from high school a year ago. And from that point on, I wanted to raise awareness. And then from a journalist perspective, interviewing so many different artists and how some have lost their lives to suicide, including one of my favorite soul singers of all time, Phyllis Hyman. And I just think that if they had the resources that they had then now, maybe a lot of situations would be different. So I just feel like I just want to use my voice and my artistry as a journalist and now as a massage practitioner to raise awareness about this going issue in our community, advocacy about wearing a semicolon to show that your life doesn't have to, have a period. It can go on, and that if I can be a vessel to encourage that, why not?
Awesome. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Miss Jones.
Oh, hey.
Didn't want to let you up.
Thank you. That's
Welcome.
I was coming a little bit of something. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Queen Angela. Thank you to the guests who went before. So, hey, I'm Steph or Lilac Calandra. I'm a marriage and family therapist. I'm a minister. I am a mindfulness life coach. And I really believe I've been put on this earth to help people get back to the best versions of themselves, right? I got into the field because I was born and raised in the church. And I recognize that there's so much untreated trauma in the church that someone who's in the church has to go out, get their credentials, go to school, and then come back and speak the language of the church so that those who are hurt, those who have been cast down, beat down, downtrodden, forgotten about, traumatized, can start to heal. And we don't talk about the taboo things in our community, as you were saying in the opening credits, Queen. We don't talk about it enough. We are here to rip the covers off of suicide. We're here to expose it, shine the light on it, take away the shame, the guilt, and embarrassment. We're here to meditate through it. We're here to pray through it. We're here to just sit and breathe through it and let people know that we're all in this together. I had no suicide attempts. I had many suicidal ideations when my parents got divorced and I was 11 going on 12. So this also hits home for me. I work right now in a high school, and we know that youth suicide rates are on the rise. I have been planted there by Abba Yah himself to help these students make sure that they are going to live. The goal is to live. And anyone listening, we want you here. You matter. I love, Dominique, that you mentioned the semicolon. Your life does not have a period, but there's more to your story where we love you and we want you here. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you.
Thank you and welcome. Mr. Larry, welcome.
Greetings. How's everybody doing? I'm Larry Penton. Everybody calls me LP for short. I am a retired paramedic firefighter or fire medic. I'm a CEO also of a company called Penton Pending Consulting Solutions, LLC. I do a number of things, post and pre-retirement. So I was in EMS and fire from 06 to 2020. I retired as a COVID medic. And I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. We relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina. And a year later, I started this consulting firm. A lot of what we did initially was virtual assistant type work. And because I still had my license and all my certifications, I was getting pulled in as a subject matter expert on public health, public safety, gun safety issues, nothing with the politics or the 2A or the Second Amendment stuff. I'm also a certified BLS instructor. I teach first aid and CPR. I teach active shooter hostile events or active shooter issues, drills, consultation, stop the bleed, and a number of other things. I'm also a podcaster. I have a show called Trigger Warning Talk Podcast, all 4 words, streaming on all the major platforms. And you can watch them on Spotify as well as our YouTube channel, which is the company name. And we cover 5 areas on the podcast. We talk about domestic violence, human and sex trafficking, sexually based offenses, true crime. And at the end of every episode, we cover a missing person case. 99% of those are melanated folks because we want to bring the same energy and media coverage to those missing individuals. There's no other podcast land that's run by a man who's a first responder, who is covering all 5 of those topics in one podcast. It's uncensored conversations. We exchange information and we provide a bunch of resources in every episode for all the viewers and listeners. We're going to have a great conversation tonight. Let's go.
Amen. Amen. Well, I definitely thank you guys for taking time out of your schedule to join us and to help us bring awareness to suicide. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I am a suicide attempt survivor. I attempted suicide so many times, and it was a dark place in my life. You think I lost my mom 12 days after my 16th birthday. My dad wasn't really in my life at the point in time when I thought that he would really step up and be a part of my life. He walked away. So I dealt with a lot of abandonment issues, a lot of things that I didn't know what I was dealing with. Like I didn't know that I was dealing with PTSD and depression for over 15 years until I went through domestic violence. And that's when all of this stuff come up. But I see so many people so often in the back when we was backstage, I heard someone talking about individuals can be smiling, they can be happy. They don't. There's not a particular um, thing where people are going to wake up and say, "I'm going to kill myself today," that because I've had that happen in my family. I had a 15-year-old, but she wasn't even 15 yet. She would have been 15. She committed suicide the day before Mother's Day. That Friday, they had been laughing, joking, having a very good family event. You never would have thought that this was going to take place on Saturday. So I just want to break through some of the stigmas that run around in our community. Like people don't want us to talk about things that are bothering us. What go on in this home, stay in this home. Be strong. That's what I was told for so long. What if I don't want to be strong? What if what if I don't want to be strong? What do I do if I don't want to be strong? Because there may be somebody out there today. Because I'm not a professional, and I'm so glad that we have all these professionals here because I want to know, what do I do if I don't want to be strong? Because I'm sure there's some people out there that want to know this, that are putting on these, we put on these masks. We're putting on these masks, and we need to take these masks off. We want people to know our true identity. So how can I not be strong? Who wanna tackle that? I just want to be free, and I don't want to be strong. I want to be able to cry if I need to cry, and not be labeled as weak. So y'all talk to me. Who want to talk?
I'll jump.
Ladies
I'll jump
first.
in. Oh,
Ladies
thank you.
first.
Thank you, brother Larry. You're the bomb. I'll jump on it really quick, then pass the mic. What I realize is, especially in the Black diaspora, right, our strength has been weaponized against us. We're so strong, and everyone sees us as strong. We're so strong that when we get into the doctor's office, they think we don't need the same amount of medicine as anyone else. So they think that we don't need to stay in the hospital as long as anyone else because we're so strong, right? Our strength, our resilience is now a weapon that is used to attack us. Really, I don't want to be strong anymore if it means that I can't get help, if it means that someone's not going to ask me what's wrong. You see the signs or you see the sayings, check on your strong friend. Why do we have to do that? Because everyone forgets about the strong person. Strong people need help too. You can, it's an and, it's not a but or it's not an or. It's an and, it's a both. I can be strong, we can be strong, but we can also need a ton of help. It's those who are looking weak or presenting weak or maybe victim mindset who get all the help. That's not fair. You can be tough, you can be strong. It's also so important to be vocal about what we're going through, right? Finding that, absolutely, Latanya, we're so strong that people assume we can handle everything. As the people, we need to stop assuming that. If we see someone who's exhibiting strength and being strong and they're always able to smile and go through, still check on them, right? Still make sure that they're okay because we hide a lot of things, right? We put on the facade and the mask. I also want to say to the strong people, and from one strong person to everyone else who's strong too, it's okay to be vulnerable. It is okay to find your safe space and be vulnerable. We can't get mad at people who don't know what we have going on when we keep everything closed in like a vault.
Mm-hmm.
Find your safe space, find your people, and share and let go and release. Be careful who you share with, right? If don't ignore the feelings inside. You know if you shouldn't be sharing with someone, but
Yeah.
keeping everything inside makes us so vulnerable to suicidal ideations, to all manners of attacks and mental illness. Share, be vulnerable, and those who see strong people still check on them, even if they're annoyed. I don't need help. Inside, they're like, "Oh, I'm so grateful." So we're all in this together. It's pouring into each other's cups. That's what's gonna do it.
I agree with you 100%, Steph. I think we need to change the narrative that vulnerability is a form of strength.
Right.
Like when you're tearing, that's cleansing, that's letting go, that stuff being released. And I can, agree to what you were saying, coming from such an urbanized background in East New York, Brooklyn, and being around so many alpha women in my life, from my mother to my grandmother. I think, and I've had a very close relationship with my grandmother. I think in the last 23 years of my life before she passed, I've only seen her cry 4 times.
Wow.
And that means she held a lot of stuff in, because you taught from the school, you got to be strong, you got to be tough. I don't want nobody seeing me with my pants hanging down. People take advantage of your vulnerability. And that's when you have to say, be mindful who you tell your business to, or be mindful who you could be vulnerable with. But that's when your faith and your strength will come in, and that discernment will give you the opportunity to determine which people should you have in your space, should you have in your circle. A lot of those things have to be evaluated along with you being vulnerable, but we have to change the narrative. And sometimes that's very difficult when you're coming from a particular upbringing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not possible. But that's coming to terms, and that's what we were talking about in the break, that your mindset has to change. And that could be a very weak mindset, because what's the point of me being strong if my life is at stake, if my mental health is at stake? I don't think God will want us to be strong and not express our emotions, not express our vulnerability, just saying that you're human and that is okay. But don't have stuff bottled in, because it's a matter of time before it just falls apart. And that's not what you would want. So I definitely agree that the narrative has to change.
Yeah. And we really have to do a better job just overall in our community of just being open to talking about the stuff that goes on behind closed doors. Because, I see the comment here, there's so many things hidden behind a smile. And I know for me personally, I've hidden so much behind my smile and gone through rough periods of dealing with suicidal thoughts and still having to work with people who are also dealing with those sort of things in their lives. And so it's really important that, that you don't hide behind that smile and you reach out to your support system. It needs to be the right support system, to your point,
Yes.
but at the same time, you have to have people in your corner that you feel safe enough to say, hey, you know what, I'm not okay today. I'm not okay right now, and I need some extra support. I might need you to check on me a little bit more often because I don't want to be strong right now. I need that extra support. So I think it's taking off the mask, as you said earlier, but it's also being able to know that even when you're by yourself in those low moments, that you can't do this by yourself. We are community based people, and we
Yes.
need our tribe in order for us to be able to move through life a little bit more smoothly.
Yeah.
Sometimes I used to tell people that with my experience being on the front line as a first responder, I would tell them there's three things that always bother me about my job. One, I always had a fear that whenever we got a 911 call, we get suited and booted, lights and sirens, we show up on scene. My biggest fear, number one, was always encountering a patient, because you don't get a patient's information. Encountering a patient into somebody that I know.
Mm.
The other thing was I always told Mrs. LP that I want to come back home the same way I went to work, healthy, happy, and whole. I can't guarantee that that's going to happen because of the nature of the beast, as I call it, the job.
Yeah.
And the third thing is, for me personally, dealing with suicides. because take away the badge, take away the licenses and the certifications and all the training and stuff. I'm just a person at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
When Mrs. LP, I get home from my 48-hour fire shift, and she's telling me about how her last 2 days where she's a project manager for a big company, and she's telling me about all of these people not meeting their deadlines, and she got all these Excel spreadsheets and doing all this SQL stuff and all these different things that are exciting. And then she asked me, well, how's your day? I got to tell her, I may not have been able to resuscitate one of these twins that were just born, and we worked on that baby for an hour. Trigger warning. I had a kid who had suicidal ideation, and he was successful. Because when it comes to suicides, I tell you, there's only one or two things. Either you find them in time, or I'm pronouncing. There is no middle ground.
Wow.
That's black and white.
Yeah.
Wow.
Cut and dry.
And the other thing is, and I'm glad that you said this, Ms. Dominique, men, 70 to 80% of suicides are committed by men, or those that identify as men. No disrespect to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
70 to 80%. We got to deal with this stuff head on. No more burying your head in the sand. It doesn't happen to me. It doesn't happen in the community. It doesn't happen in the neighborhood. It doesn't happen in my mind or whatever. We all got something to share, and we're going to talk about it.
Yep.
So how do we get people to really talk about it? Because you oftentimes will hear people say, well, pray about it. How do you convince people that therapy is needed, seeing like a psychiatrist? Because I'm going to tell you, I'll be the first person to tell you that I don't mind laying on somebody's couch, because I've seen a psychiatrist. I had a psychiatrist and I had two therapists at one time. So I knew I needed help, because it got to a point to where I just couldn't. Yeah, I didn't want to get up out the bed. I didn't want to face anything. But see, some people don't realize that, I can't do this alone. They think that everything is on them, that they don't have nobody. So how can y'all get that out to people that, hey, it's okay. Get this therapist. Where my therapist at? My therapist.
I mean, I think the
I
first
need
thing.
you to make a plea to the people today.
Gotcha. I mean, I think the first thing is really just recognizing that you need help. I mean, like if you're at that point where you're laying in bed all the time and you're not wanting to get up, you're not wanting to eat, shower, take care of yourselves, do those basic ADLs, and you are at that point of hopelessness and you don't really see a reason to keep going. And I see someone's message saying, how do you share with people that like to talk about what you shared in confidence? I mean, that's the perfect segue to go into therapy. What you talk about with your therapist is something that is confidential and it's a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things, that we have to share as it relates to, like, if you do have an active plan, means, and intent to end your life. But as it relates to just being able to share and build those coping skills, that's something that you can get from a therapist, and it's something that will stay with that therapist unless you are actively at risk of hurting yourself or someone else. And so if you see that you need that extra support and you don't have anybody else in your life that you feel like you can talk to, that's the perfect time for you to reach out and be able to connect with someone that can help you through that process of really exploring your feelings and really identifying, okay, well, what is it that's causing these feelings of depression? What is it? Is it something long standing? Is it because of life circumstances? Because there are a lot of different stages in terms of people who are contemplating suicide. Sometimes when you're in that pre-stage, they may not be there. You may not be ready to get help. But if you're at that point where you really, really feel like you're going to act on those thoughts, at that point, you definitely want to connect with a therapist, but you definitely, if it's something right there in the moment, real time, you want to reach out to something like 988 and speak with a crisis responder at either at your local state. And you want to be able to connect with someone that can walk you through that moment in the present moment, so that you're not acting on those suicidal thoughts.
I agree with you 100%. I think in order for you to come to terms that you need help, it has to be identified. Like, you have to get take a good look at yourself and say, hey, this whatever I'm doing, whatever I'm trying to manage, obviously this is not working. So therefore I need to go to a higher source. And I think for people, who are such driven in their faith, I strongly believe God sends people in your life to get the job done. Like he has arrangers to help you, to assist you to get that done. So there's no need to be biased, but that all goes back to what you've been taught. But an old dog can learn new tricks.
Yeah.
And a part of the process is reaching out to somebody that specializes in certain things that you have, trouble with. It may be a time in your life where it's trauma, where it's the workplace, where it's just a lot of things that are not been dealt with, just bottled up. So if a therapist can help you channel through all that, it's like peeling the onion. And
Yes.
that's what all therapy is you're peeling your onion. You're getting to the root of what was going on that you thought you may handle 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 5 years ago. And I think that we need to encourage our men to have that same mindset as well, because a lot of us grew up in household like a man is not supposed to cry. That's a form of weakness. No, the same rules and the same methods need to be applied towards men. And I think women, whether you are a mate to somebody or close with a particular man, encourage that as well. Like, be an aid to a man, because they have their own struggles. Societal struggles alone can
Yes.
prop a man to have suicidal thoughts or go into that lane. But I think if men get more encouragement to seek therapy, to seek a minister, to seek a pastor, everything will be, worthwhile. But you have to make the step. No one is going to do it for you. So you have to come to terms and say, hey, I'm at a verge of doing something that is not healthy. And I have to get to a point like maybe I need to seek professional help. Maybe I need to take it at a higher level to save my life.
Absolutely. I really just echo all the words and sentiments that have already been shared. I mean, Dominique, I like that you mentioned the onion, right? When you peel the onion, you're peeling it back, it makes you cry. So there will be emotions that are there. There's always going to be something that comes up. When I get into sessions with clients, right? And after we've had our first session, or maybe the first couple of sessions, they're always like, I wish I had done this sooner. Right? I see the head nods, right? I wish I had done this sooner. Sometimes we build up this whole scenario in our head. They're going to know all my secrets. They're going to share my secrets. They're going to say this. They're going to say that. Here's the reality. And as my fellow therapist said, we cannot share. We are bound by law and we cannot share what has been said in our sessions. It is the best thing to talk to someone you really don't know. You can tell it all. You know what I mean? It's
Yep,
different
and
than talking
non-biased.
non-biased. It's different than talking to someone who's your mother, your sister, your cousin. There's certain little restraints, little filters that you put on your mouth. When you talk to someone you don't know, it's like blood. You just share, right? And here's the thing too, especially me being in ministry, I really have become the keeper for shepherds, pastors, and those who are in ministry, right? There are so many pastors who commit suicide or leave their jobs, leave their pastoralship on Monday, the Monday after they preach, right? Because the stress and the pressure is too much.
Yep.
No one wakes up and says, today I think is the day no. There's a seed that's been planted. And before we started recording, there's a seed that's been planted. When you talk about a suicidal ideation, it is the idea that has been planted. And you talk to any farmer, you usually want a seed that's in the ground, right? It's in a dark space. But with suicide, you don't, because in the darkness it festers and it grows and it turns into this big thing. So it's so important. My thing is awareness. When I pull into mindfulness, be aware of the things that you're going through. Something's happening. You're not having good relationships. I don't mean romantic relationships. I mean, you're having issues with your mom, with your dad, on your job. You're switching jobs every year. There's things going on. Recognize the patterns that are inside of yourself. The awareness is key. Recognize how you're feeling. Right. Do you want to get out of bed? No. Is your room very dark? When someone calls, hey, you want to hang out? Oh, no, you just want to stay by yourself. All those things are leading up to potential suicide attempts, definite suicidal ideations because it works best in isolated spaces. When you're around no one, when you just have your thoughts. This is an echo chamber. I need everyone on this panel to challenge my thoughts. Hey, Steph, hold on a minute. Wait, that's not making sense. When it's just by ourselves, we can let ourselves slip into something.
Yeah.
So the push and the advocacy for therapy is because you're important and you matter. And what you say matters. Your voice might have been silenced as a child. What's the toxic thing that was said? Children are best seen and not heard. How many of us been silenced by that, right? Your voice matters, what you have to say. Your feelings matter. Last thing I'll say, then I'll pass the mic. When I talk to my clients, I say this. Feelings are like jealous lovers. If you do not pay them enough attention, they will pop up in places that you don't want them to. They will show up in spaces that you would rather they not be. You ever try to ignore a jealous lover? They pop up at the movies. They're behind the bush. We want to make sure that we're paying attention to our feelings. That's number one. Be aware of how you feel so that thing doesn't creep up on you and overtake you like a wave. That's the push for therapy. Find you a good therapist and you talk to them and you share because your life matters, right? Everything you have to say doesn't have to be kept in here. Let it spill out so that you can go on and have enough capacity to live another day.
Yep.
I love educated Black women. I'm telling you all are just the bomb.com. And I highlight educated Black women all the time because you all are the most disrespected people on the planet. So my flowers to every one of you ladies.
Thank
And
you.
you all give me a great segue to just follow you. I'm just going to add to what you all have said. Let me talk for the men because, typically I'm either the only guy or one of a few guys that come on these platforms that have these discussions. I'm okay with that because I can talk to all of these guys and I can talk to these other professionals, especially the first responders. So one of the things I'm going to talk about is from the male perspective. Now, the men don't meet over my house every Wednesday night for cigars and brand. However, I can speak as a man when it comes to the effect of emotional suppression and how it plays a huge role, not only in suicides, but just mental health. I say, and this is my quote, mental health crisis is the world's oldest continuous pandemic that's been around since the beginning of mankind.
Yep.
And it ain't going nowhere until we deal with the stigmas, the taboos, the stereotypes, the pain, the drama, the judgment, all of those things. We're going to continue to see suicides. We're going to continue to see homicides. We're going to continue to see these violent, critical incidents that I get breaking news stories about every single day. We're at over almost 500 for the year. And this is just almost mid-September.
Crazy.
As a boy, I remember having male cousins that were older than me and other male relatives that were in my family that they solidified that thought about emotional suppression. I would get gut punched. Hey, you can't cry. You can't show emotions. You're a sissy. You're all these tropes and all this stuff. I was told there were 5 reasons that it's okay for a male to cry. You want to know what they are? And I'm not going to even give it to you in any order because these were from various older men. You had to have a bone sticking out of your body. You had to be crushed between a couple of cars, falling off of a multi-story building. Somebody had to have died or was dying, or you had to maybe either won or lost a major sporting event. That's it. That's all. Anything else, gut punch, you're going to get called names. You're going to get just crucified, basically. Here's another thing that a buddy of mine said. He gave a couple examples. I threw in one just for clarity. He talked about Will Smith pre-slap. He talked about Tyrese Gibson. I threw in Michael Jordan. Tyrese Gibson, remember when he was on his IG and he was talking about the issues with the mother of his kids?
Yeah, it was crying and
He was crying. What happened, Miss Dominique? They made a crying meme out
they
of him,
slandered that, made that a whole bunch of memes.
It's Sandries. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the GOAT, as I call him. Look, y'all can come after me if y'all want to. I'm just saying.
Mm.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan. I'll get to him last. Will Smith pre-slap the entanglement episode on Red Table Talk. What happened? Miss Sandries, they made a crime meme out of him.
Yep.
Queen Angela, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the night of his greatest career, on the night of his greatest career celebration, when he was enshrined into the NBA Hall of Fame. What happened to Michael Jeffrey Jordan? He made a crime meme out of him. Now, you take all of those guys, wealthy, celebrities, famous, if they can make crime memes out of those guys because they're sharing their emotions, what do you think LP if I get on some social media talking about my crap?
Yeah.
Good, bad, or indifferent. I don't want to be the butt of nobody's joke. I don't want nobody making no meme out of me. Men will hold their stuff in like it's just like men don't want to go to the hospital until their arm is hanging by a skin tag.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just are trained and brought up and raised to hold everything in. It's that picture of Atlas. We got the world on our shoulder, and we carry that weight all the way until we're underneath that dirt on that earth that we're carrying on our shoulder.
Yep.
I'll even go farther than that. I used to do a room in this app called Clubhouse, and we talked about men's issues. We called it the barbershop talk. I always say when men want to talk crap, they go to the bar, the barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to them, and I ran this room called Speak Sister Brother Speak Journal because I'm part of this organization. And we talked about journaling. And I said to the guys, I said, look, journaling is not girl stuff. It's not a diary thing. You don't even have to write in it every day. And for those men that are in opposition of it, and this is where the suicide stuff comes into play, because I said, you know, you have to get your emotions, because they're going to come out one way or the other. You're going to either implode and do something to yourself, or you're going to explode, and it's going to be, again, something that I get a call about in one of these breaking news stories. I'm a tactically trained EMS person now. So when I see these stories all the time, you know what happens in an active, violent, critical incident or active shooter situation? Because everything doesn't involve firearm. It just gets most of the attention. They look for journals. We look for the journals, the paperwork. We go into the houses with law enforcement, and we look for any evidence to figure out why this person did what they did. And most of the journals and the writings of these people, either they were arrested or they were suicide by cop because they got into a shootout with the cops or whatever.
Right.
Most of the time, the letters that they left say, I didn't have anybody to talk to. Nobody wanted to hear what I had to say. Nobody cared about what I had to talk about. I tried to get help. I wanted to get help. I needed help.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time almost. Now, there are some people who just want their 15 minutes of fame, and some people who really have some issues. But for the most part, I'm telling you, when it comes to men, I say get you a journal. I don't care if you got some post-it notes and some crayons or something like that. You need to write down what's in here. If it was good enough for Tupac, you can't tell me your hard head, but it's too good for you because he wrote his raps, he did his journaling, he did his raps, he did poetry, and he did artwork in it. If it's good enough for Pop, peace be upon his eternal soul forevermore, you can't tell me it's too good enough for you. We got to deal with these suicidal ideations before they become something that I got to pronounce this person deceased.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow. I have really enjoyed this on tonight. I want people to be able to reach out to you guys and to connect with you guys because I think that you guys are amazing. And again, I have to thank you guys for stopping in and sharing with me on tonight because this is conversation that we need to have in our brown community. You know, we need to let down this wall that we've built up and we need to heal. We need to allow ourselves to heal. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is to stop allowing hindrance, stop walking with the ego and having the attitude, and show more love. That's how we're gonna be able to heal. And how we stop all the hindrance and stop worrying about what the next person think. And you gotta find out you and love yourself enough to say if something is going on, and if you don't have friend and family to help you, to seek out for professional help. Like they've made it, they're making it easy for you to get help now, because you can pick up the phone and call 988, and you can
Mhm.
talk to
Yep.
a certified licensed person on the other end of the phone. They can help you through. And if they recognize or feel like you need additional help, they will make that call and have someone come to that house. So, in closing, I want everybody to be able to share how individuals can follow you, how they can reach out for your services if they need your services. Because oftentimes there's people on here that just may need somebody to talk to. So we're gonna go around again, and we're gonna start with Miss Russell, and give everybody an opportunity to connect with. Tell everybody how they can connect with you.
Okay.
And if
All
you
right.
have something that you would like to share in closing, that you may not have been able to share when it was your turn, you have the time to do that now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I would just share, make sure that you connect with a good therapist if you're dealing with something like this. And also, like you said, reaching out to 988 if it is an emergent situation and you just need someone to talk to, whether it's 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. The line is always open in all of the states. If you hit 988 from your phone, it will connect you with the local crisis line in your area. So just making sure you connect with that. You can connect with me on all social media platforms under the handle at TreatyLPC. That's TikTok, IG, Facebook, YouTube, all of that. Just at Treaty LPC, you can locate me there. You can also visit the uniquedestiny.org website, and it's simply uniquedestiny.org, spelled the correct way. And that's how it can be reached.
My contact information is my LinkedIn, full name Dominique M. Carson, my portfolio, dominiquecarson.contently.com, my Instagram, Dom Carson 90, my massage Instagram, D Carson LMT, and my Facebook, facebook.com/DMC 922. I just want to say, just from a massage therapist perspective, relieve your stress, get into any form of medicine that's going to help you reduce those suicidal thoughts, because you're channeling those motions that's being mismanaged, in addition to the extensive therapy that you're getting. And I think that we have to get out of this mindset that, oh, I'm too proud, I don't want nobody up in my business. That's the greatest love that you're giving yourself, is figuring out your issues, figuring out how you could be a better version of yourself. And the first step to that is changing your mind. And I could say, from a massage therapist, I deal with a number of people from all walks of life, from the early ages of 14 to almost 80 plus. And a massage in an hour can relieve so much elements that's going on from a psychological standpoint. Some people just need a massage to feel appreciated. And that's why I love my profession, because touch is such an innate desire that people have. And I think if we express that more of those suicidal percentages can definitely go down, because during the massage you inhibit a lot of those stress hormones and just releasing those endorphins and making you feel good and elevating your mood. So in addition to that, find things that are the opposite of what you're feeling. I know some people have channeled it into, from sports to boxing to, I know for me, boxing definitely helps, especially as a stress reliever. So find something that will allow you to channel those emotions healthy, and strengthen your faith in addition to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the piece about massage therapy, right? We talked about the somatic trauma that's sometimes in our bodies. So that's so key. But finding me on social media is as simple as typing in Selah, SELAH mindset. That's the name of my business. It comes out of the Bible, out of the book of Psalms. Selah, meaning we need to sit in contemplative reflection, that we don't move too quick, we don't move too fast. When things happen to us, we don't have to just jump into everything. We can sit in a Selah, and it should be our mindset where we're always waiting a second before reacting, right? And so when we're talking about what's going on and how we're feeling and things like that, gift yourself the ability to be aware of how you're feeling, gift yourself the ability to breathe, right? Gift yourself the ability to meditate on the things that are above. We're going to meditate no matter what. Meditation is just thinking on one thing over and over again. We always are thinking about something. We get to choose what we meditate on. And I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. You matter, and we need you here. You belong right where you are, right?
Yes.
No matter what you're going through, you might be in some tough stuff. Someone might have just disrespected you, betrayed you. You might have lost everything. We need you here. Find
Yes.
somebody who can help you. Dial that number 988. It's available to everyone. We need you right here where you are planted. You have a purpose, you have a gift, you have
Yep.
something to do in the earth. Your time has not been ended. If you need someone to talk to, please reach out on Sailor Mindset or any of our amazing panelists. But we want to connect with you. You have roots here on the earth. Your time is not done. Don't end it prematurely because you think no one's here for you. We're telling you, all of us here, we love you. We're here for you. If you're saying
Yes.
no one's here for me, 5 of us, we are here for you. And there are
Yes.
countless others. You matter. Remain here, remain planted, and connect with someone. Really grateful to be here. And I hope these conversations continue, right, on other platforms, that we take away the guilt and the shame and the embarrassment. If you've had suicidal ideations, if you've had a suicidal attempt or multiple, there's no shame, there's no guilt, there's no embarrassment. We eradicate that. We remove that. You are human.
Yes.
You are going through life, but you are still here, and we still need you desperately. So feel all that love, feel all that peace, feel all of that. And I hope you make the decision to stay and to remain. Don't be ashamed. A lot of us have had the ideations, but you matter, and we want you here. So that's my spiel. That's what I have to say. Love you, and God
Yes.
loves you best. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. According to the World Health Organization, on average, 130 people commit suicide every day in the U.S., which amounts to approximately one person every 11 minutes.
Yep.
That is just, it just hurts my soul. One of the things that I wanted to say to you ladies is I am so honored to be part of this conversation. I want to show you something because I just added the 4 of you all to my superhero wall of fame. And here's why. Mrs. LP got me this. This is one of my most treasured items in my office. It is a wooden plaque. It has the EMS Star of Life. And it says, "Not all superheroes wear capes." You know why this is important to me? Because she gave this to me when I was active as a paramedic and a firefighter or fireman. And I've been called hero, superhero. I won, some major life-saving awards, got all these accolades and all this stuff. I didn't get into the job for all of that. I got into the job because of I want to do my part to help us get to our humanity.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about suicides, the humanity in those individuals that have attempted, as well as those that have been successful, is those that have attempted, they were walking on thin ice. They got saved somehow. Those that end up getting pronounced, they died of a broken heart because they feel like nobody cared. And the work that you all are doing, I feel like a superhero, we tend to think of the Marvel comic characters or the DC, the Supermans and the Batmans and the Aquamans and all that. Forget all that stuff. You know what a superhero is to me? A superhero is an ordinary person doing some extraordinary things in some extraordinary situations.
Yes.
Queen Angela, Sandries, Dominique, Steph, you all are superheroes in my book because you didn't just decide to work in these careers just for a check. You want to do your part to help us get to our humanity. I posted a comment in the chat. I said, remember these 4 numbers: 2, 4, 2, 6, 46, and 11. This is from a report that I saw on the IG page called first_responders_first. And it was showing the 2023 suicides year to date. And each of those numbers represent 911 operators or emergency medical dispatchers, EMTs or paramedics, because all paramedics are EMTs, but not all EMTs are paramedics. It depends on your license. 46 represents law enforcement and 11 represents firefighter. So two emergency medical dispatchers or 911 operators have been reported to have committed suicide. And these are just the ones that are reported. The numbers are way high. Trust. Six EMS personnel, 46 law enforcement, and 11 firefighters. Those numbers are current, and these were reported through the site called firsthelp.org as of July 7th of this year. When I say those numbers are higher, trust me, they're a lot higher. I have worked with some individuals who, one committed suicide by cop, he was a EMT, another was a medic, two of them were medics. You know, this job has so many traumas that come with it. We see traumas all the time and we experience them also. And so as a first responder, again, my job is to come back home healthy, happy, and whole so Mrs. LP can be healthy, happy, and whole so I can minimize domestic violence in my household and or eliminate it. Because part of that, and I have a wider view of what domestic violence is. It's not just what happens under your roof in between your four walls. When we see these stories about like what happened at Uvalde or the store in Buffalo with the shooting at the grocery store or any of these breaking news stories, those are actually domestic violence because those are places where we domesticated ourselves. Your favorite grocery store, your house of worship, your school, your academic institution, your place of business, whether you work virtually or at a brick and mortar place, when violence happens at those places, they interrupt your domestic tranquility. And so we have to understand that when it comes to suicides, the onus is on us. And in closing, I'll say this. When we're talking about modalities, you're right. Laying on somebody's couch for 45 minutes doing the Q&A is not going to help. We just stop. Stop. So what we need to do is get people to understand that, yes, there are so many modalities out here. Medicine has its place. I'm not saying everybody needs to be on medication or a pill, but medicine has its place. You know, there's cognitive behavior therapy. If you have CPTSD, which is the complex PTSD or PTSD, EMDR is phenomenal for that.
Yes.
But, and I'm not even finished. Think about the metaphysical modalities. We're talking about massage therapy. We're talking about Reiki practitioners. We're talking about EFT, the tapping. We're talking about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. You know, there's so many modalities out there. And I've talked about that and have these metaphysicians on my podcast all the time. I interviewed one lady who deals with, for the last 30 years, she has helped people who have been traumatized from sexual offenses, trafficking, domestic violence, suicide. You know how she did it and how she does it? Using crystals and tarot cards. We did a whole episode about that. The first 15 minutes, all we did was dispel all the myths and the misconceptions about all of that stuff. And then we dove into it. I say that to say that there's many metaphysical modalities that help people, especially when it comes to suicides. You have got to be the catalyst and your own advocate and raise your own stake in this game that we call life, as Prince said in his song. Because we're all just trying to get through this thing called life. And there's too many people like myself and you four ladies that are willing and ready and available to give the help, whether you're manning the phones or you are in the streets, doing whatever work in terms of making those grassroots connections, or you're a first responder who is talking to other first responders, because we don't get enough training on these things. So that's part of my role. Whatever you're doing, podcasting or whatever, we have to be those superheroes that don't wear capes.
Yep.
LP out.
Yep.
Wow, wow. I tell you, I have truly been blessed on tonight. I want to thank you guys for being the change that you guys desire to see in this world. And that's what it's going to take. If you want change, you have to be the change. So I
Absolutely.
applaud each and every one of you guys for the amazing work that you're doing. I wish you so much success in all that you do and continue on this journey touching lives. I'm just excited about what God is doing through each and every one of you guys. It's just amazing to see individuals that are transparent and willing to share your willingness. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I can't thank you enough. And I want to thank everyone that has been tuned in tonight to another episode of the Crew Podcast. Y'all know we are the change that we desire to see. So we will continue to bring you individuals that are being the change that they want to see in this world. I pray that your night is blessed beyond what you can see in the natural and know that God is working it out. He's
Amen.
working. I love you guys. Y'all be blessed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.